what kind of growth have you seen in Baker since last year?
Yeah, there's a ton. I mean, a lot of it really, you kind of take a step when you're playing and you get thrown in as a rookie. You're I wouldn't say you're swimming, but you're catching up. Like there's a lot of things, a lot more responsibility that you're going to have than you had in college, and that's the case for him, like anybody. So I think the biggest thing right now, we want him to take charge of a lot of the stuff that we may have put on other guys last year. So his biggest thing, and it starts with the protection. That's the biggest thing when you want to pass the ball, and then it goes into run checks and everything else. And he's done a phenomenal job, getting through that and getting started and taking charge of that. And I think too, the biggest thing with him, which I want him to do too, is he needs to speak out. He's a smart, cerebral guy. So the more he understands, ideally he's here, and this is a situation where this is his offense for the next 10, 15 years. So it needs to be his. He needs to put his stamp on it, and he needs to basically have input on how we do things. Now, obviously, as coaches, Freddie's going to work his way down, and we'll do the trickle-down effect of what we're really going to do. But I'm excited to see how he continues to kind of let this thing evolve.
And is he, are he and Todd kind of putting their heads together a little bit on like the air raid and
Sure.
kind of getting some of those concepts?
Yeah, that's the great part too about the amount of guys we have working in that room right now. And then really you can count Drew as another guy, kind of in the same deal as me and Freddie, being from that Arizona system, and Todd bringing what he brings from Tampa. And the beauty of it too, with where we've brought everybody. I mean, John Lilly from San Francisco or L.A. I should say now. You mix them all around. The Rams a few years ago, and James Campen from what they did with the Packers. I mean, it's kind of interesting that we've been able to mix all that together and bring all that into one system right now. And that's where I'm really saying we need to take all that, because there's a lot. There's what we did last year. There's what Freddie has done in Arizona. There's what guys have done at different places. And it needs to all hit Baker however he sees it. So that's why I say when he continues to put his stamp on this thing, we get Odell in here, we get Jarvis ready to go. It's going to be something scary to watch.
Ryan, Baker seems unfazed by great expectations, but do you think a lot of people expect too much too soon from him?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the position he's put in. I mean, you're the one pick, and you had a great rookie season, and any competitor wants to get better every year. So he set those goals for himself. I mean, he's a driven individual. He's not. I don't think any of those expectations that are coming from outside faze him at all. I think it's really a ton of that comes from is internal. He's got such a drive to him, and we all know. I mean, he's got an edge. He's got a chip on his shoulder. So none of that to me phases him from external influences. I think everything that he wants to do, he has a drive himself to do from his personal experience and being a competitor.
You talk about the weapons that we're adding. You hear all the time saying, people say it could be hard to keep everybody happy with one ball. How do you think Baker handles all that? And is he kind of the perfect personality?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. His personality pretty much will cure a lot of those questions. I mean, it's true. You got one ball, but I think with the group of guys, getting to know every one of those guys, and the guys that were here last year, and obviously the guys that have been added, they're all guys that want to win football games. I mean, the Nick Chubbs of the world, the Kareem Hunts, all those guys, they want to win. And at the end of the day, whether that's 10 touches or 20 touches, if we win the football game, nobody's going to be crying at the end of it.
When you look out there, you see, Baker's throwing to, not Odell and Jarvis and Antonio right now. How's that going in terms of his development and everything that's happened so far?
I'll tell you what, it's really kind of a blessing in disguise. And you never want to see guys go down. And obviously, we'd love to have Rat and Williams and those guys and out there running. But at the end of the day, it really allows Baker to go through his progressions and stay true to the offense and how he sees things. And now, yeah, when we have Odell Beckham out here and Callaway and Jarvis, we'll have matchup nightmares for people. And in your progression, you're going to say, well, shoot, we got a good matchup with Odell. We're probably going to say screw everything else and just look at it. Whereas here, he's really got to say, okay, let's work through the progression, allow the concepts and the routes to get themselves open and get players open and work within the system. So it's really been, I think, and we talked about the other day, it's going to be great for his development. It's going to be great at the end of the day. He's going to be a much better quarterback because of it.
Between you and Freddie and Adam and Baker, it just seems like you guys are really tight and cohesive. How has it been to work together with this kind of?
Yeah, it's awesome. And that's the cool part about kind of getting some of the crew to stick around. I think there was a group of guys that kind of built a camaraderie last year. And the funnest part is seeing how the guys that we've brought in all kind of have that similar personality. I think that was kind of the key when guys came in and you knew that between Adam, myself, and Freddie, we're going to stick around. Between the players that were going to stick around, you knew that guys that came in to coach kind of needed to fit that mold too. So we got a good group of guys in the offensive staff room that like to have a good time and know at the end of the day, I mean, we're going to get in arguments, we're going to fuss, and we got to make sure we do the best we can to put these guys in a good position on the field. But at the end of the day, we have a lot of fun doing it. So it's a good group, top to bottom, players and coaches.
You know Freddie well. What it is about him that you think can help him succeed in this position? He's never been here.
Well, the great thing is the guy doesn't have an ego, and I think he does a phenomenal job of delegating to everybody, top to bottom. I mean, you work from Tyler Tettleton to Todd Monken. Everybody's kind of got a role with what they're doing, and none of it. Nobody needs the credit for it. When I say that, I mean obviously Freddie being at the top, he's fine with delegating those things to other people, and he gets in the loop, and we get rolling, and it's really all about putting these guys in the best position to score points, and at the end of the day, win football games. Obviously, as head coach.
So with Baker, even though he played fast last year, do you feel like he's taking that up a notch this year? Are you seeing that the lights have come on even more?
No doubt, and it's kind of like I think he plays very fast when he reacts. Like he has an uncanny ability to react to things that happen on the field and play very quickly. I think the key for him is seeing things before they happen now. I think as he gets a better understanding of coverages, of pressures, he'll be able to look now and see it before it comes instead of he's so good at reacting at seeing on the run, has great instincts, can throw the ball, is accurate. But if he sees that and he can play on quicker timing, it just allows those guys to get more room to run and more space to move out there with, like we talked about, we get all the weapons that we have. It's gonna be fun to watch.
You mentioned Tyler Tettleton. You had a relationship with Baker beforehand.
Yeah.
How much does he bring to this?
As much as we could do, I mean, I'd still love to even pick Lincoln's brain and those guys out there in Norman, because I thought it was great to bring Tyler in, because once Tyler got in and while the players weren't still here, he and I were in here kind of putting together some of the playbook. And the biggest thing for me, obviously I got to know Baker in the 8 weeks that I was here at the end of the season, but getting to know really how kind of certain things that he ticks. He's been in a room with him for 4 years, or for an extended period of time. So having Tyler and knowing kind of what Baker thinks, where we can go back to if we want to do some things like they did at Oklahoma, Tyler can be a great reference for that. So I mean, yeah, he's been great for us in the QC role.
Wouldn't there be time before training camp to visit Lincoln Riley?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of obviously. I mean, the guy's busy running a powerhouse of a college football program, so I'm sure it'd be tough. I'd have to try to fit into his schedule, but I'd love to. Yeah, I mean, obviously after this next week we got a little time off, and hopefully we can do that.
Did you say you have picked his brains some?
No, I would love to. I would say, obviously just knowing where guys come from, especially young guys, kind of where their baseline is. It'd be great to see kind of what they're thinking. Now, we've watched it a ton, and even we study. You got a great scout Kyler Murray this year. I've seen a ton of film on them. You kind of have a good idea of what they do, but you just love to see kind of how they ingrain the things, the great tools that Baker has right now that you can even see in Kyler. So it's kind of like, obviously that's coming from somewhere. I mean, they're teaching that. They do a very good job of developing quarterbacks. You'd love to kind of see some of the things that they do to make that happen.
After the way Baker played as a rookie, do you guys talk about the next step being him elevating into the top quarterbacks in the league? And John Dorsey talks about 20-25% improvement from year 1 to year 2 for him. I mean, are those goals kind of stated or discussed?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we really hammer down goals. And to me, sometimes I think, especially with him, he's a guy. Numbers aren't a big deal to him. Being, I always clown on him as being a 6-foot guy. He's probably not too worried about the numbers. So we try to not focus on numbers so much. It's just as he continues to get a grasp, and that's really what I said at the beginning, if he can have a grasp for the system and continue to take ownership of it where he feels comfortable, things are second nature, whether it's protection checks, run checks, everything else, telling guys where to be, where he wants them to be, that to me will create the development, and we have the tools around him right now to be successful. So as far as putting numbers on it, I mean, we can say let's throw 5 more touchdowns and win 5 more games and all that different stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about putting the time in now, putting the best period together, putting the best practice together, and those things will pile up and add up.
I guess I was just thinking of I said numbers because that's
how
Dorsey's put it. But,
Yeah.
But like Mahomes, right? I
Sure.
mean, he just took the league by storm
Yeah.
last year, his first year really playing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if that's a motivator. I mean, for him to be able to do that.
No,
early
you know
in
what?
his career.
I think his big thing, like I said, is winning ball games, and that's the beauty of I think how we did it last year. You look at some of Baker's best games; he only threw it, 20, 25 times. I don't think he's a guy it's so much about numbers for stats either. I mean, we can throw it 20 times, and if he goes like he did last year, was it 17 for 20 and extremely efficient, and Nick Chubb goes for 150, and second half of the season we got Kareem going for another 100. I mean, that's a very efficient ball game for us as an offense, and that's due to Baker putting us in good positions, J.C. Treader putting us in good positions, and all that. To me, that's where I think numbers and stats aren't high on the priority list right now for him.
Is there anything to? I mean, there was a lot of defenses late in the year that you had success against that weren't ranked very high.
Sure.
Is there anything to proving it against the better teams?
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Ravens are number 1 ranked.
No doubt, and I think that was kind of there was that talk, and I got it, towards the end of the year, and then being able to do what we did against the Ravens, it kind of put a spell to that, and that was the biggest thing. We kind of look back on and say, hey, each game plan's different, and whatever we can do to expose another team, we will.